Everyone, and welcome to November's Business and Culture Committee meeting. So I'm going to ask the Director to take us through items 1 and 2 on the agenda, which are the notice and summons of meeting and members' attendance and apologies. Stephen.
Thank you, Chair. Members, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of Business and Culture Committee, which will be a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically in the Council Chamber, Guildhall and Derry. If we take the attendance, Alderman Cook.
Online, Stephen.
Alderman Middleton.
Here, Stephen, online.
Councillor Boyle.
Yes, online as well, Stephen. Thank you.
Councillor Duffy.
Online.
Thank you. Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart.
And Shaw.
Councillor Heaney.
And Shaw.
Councillor Hutton.
Shaw.
Councillor McDade.
Online.
Councillor Mooney.
Here.
Councillor O'Farrell.
Early now.
And Councillor Neelis.
Shaw.
Thank you, members.
So, can Councillor Harkin's attendance be noted, please? Item 3 is the broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone physically present at this meeting or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you're consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes, and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council privacy notice may be found on the Council website, derrystrabane.com. Item 4 is declarations of members' interest. So if you want to declare them now or when the appropriate item comes up, that'd be great. Chair's business. I've just got 2 items. One is just to reflect on the Halloween celebrations at the end of October. I just think that we put on a fantastic show, which really showcased the city and district in its best light. I think we cemented ourselves as the capital of Halloween. I think it was a fantastic spectacle. It attracted absolutely massive crowds, despite it being rained off on the Thursday. I think, in particular, the parade and the fireworks were absolutely amazing. And I'm just looking forward to the 40th anniversary celebrations next year. So I just want to pass on my thanks, appreciation, and congratulations to the entire team of Council. Our partners throughout the community that made this event so special, and obviously to the people of the city and district who came out in force, which created and has sustained the event over the years, and to all the visitors that came to all the events that were organised through the Halloween celebrations. So I think it was amazing. Really looking forward to next year, and I hope we can go from strength to strength in that regard. And the other thing I just want to note, and it's in the papers anyway, is the Christmas light switch is on Friday, and I personally can't wait for it. So I love going to it. I love seeing the city adorned with all the Christmas lights, all the animation, and the most amazing thing is all the young people that flock to the city centre to see that fantastic opening evening. So I love it. My daughter loves it, and I'm expecting a massive crowd there. So that's all I have to raise in Chairperson's business. So, Aisling.
Thank you, Chair. And just to come on off the back of what you're saying in relation to the Halloween celebrations, it was absolutely fantastic. And I want to thank officers as well for keeping the markets going on the Saturday and keeping the celebrations going for the extra day. I think that the general public really, really appreciated that because we had the weather warning and every other community event across the city and district had been called off. So I think that everybody was very grateful, as were we, that there was an extra day of proceedings and that around the town. So just to give our thanks as well and to congratulate everybody. My favourite part was the wolf on Bishop Street. Absolutely amazing. So congratulations as well to Northwest Carnival. Thank you.
Okay, so next item is matters arising. So in terms of the minutes of our previous meeting, does anybody want to raise any particular items on there? Gone. So I take it that's a no. So we'll move on to open for decision. Item 7. So it's the Strabane, Lifford and Waterside Half Marathon update, and we've got 18 to take us through that. So, Councillor Hart, is that on matters arising or item 7? Item 7. Okay.
Okay, so thank you, Chair. So members, this is just a short report just to update you on the outcomes of the Strabane, Lifford and the Waterside half marathons for 2025 and to confirm budget and revenue generating models for both events in 2026. You'll know that after 2023, a new strategy was developed for the two half marathons. And we were able to, the marathons were under threat, but we have been able to look at the revenue generating models for both half marathons. And as a result, we're now able to have annual marathons. Both events this year saw record numbers, and we increased the numbers for both with a relay for only the second time in the Strabane Lifford half marathon. It saw a total over the Strabane Lifford 1,209 people cross the finish line, and that was a 24% increase in registration and therefore additional revenue. The Strabane Lifford half marathon this year brought the start into the town centre, and this route was proved very popular, but we are likely to make some minor adjustments to the course are going to be considered for 2026, and those will be communicated in due course. The Waterside half marathon was on the 7th of September with 2,774 completing the biggest ever entry for the Waterside half marathon. You'll be aware that we increased the number of participants to accommodate the increased demand and waiting list. The feedback from the event was very successful. As you know, the Waterside half marathon has continued to work with the Lycra company, which supports obviously the revenue that we're able to raise as part of the event. And they are obviously key sponsors, as this year were EY, which contributes to the overall budget. And they've been very successful partnerships to date, and we're hoping that they will continue into 2026. There's very positive feedback from both events. The dates proposed for 2026 are the Strabane Lifford half marathon on the Sunday the 17th of May, and the Waterside half marathon on Sunday the 6th of September. We are planning, with members' approval following this report, to open registrations at the beginning of December. This will allow us to hopefully get the same level of success as we have last year. And, believe it or not, it's a thing that people like to buy as Christmas presents. So the earlier we can get the entries open, the better. We'll be working with sports development to initiate a couch to 5K. The budget, including income and expenditure, is set out in the report. And this obviously has additional income through sponsorship. We are proposing that the registration fee is increased to £28 per person from £27 plus booking fee for both races. And the half marathon relay price relay would be £73 for a 3-person relay team, up slightly, again, at £1 per person. Production and supplier costs are all increasing, and this slight fee increase would help cover the rising costs. Again, from a tendering and process perspective, majority of items are covered by annual tenders, and anything additional will be secured by specific quotation request. So members are asked to note the content of the report and approve the proposed arrangements for both half marathons for 2026. and registrations and sponsorship opportunities will be reviewed on an ongoing basis. And if necessary, we will bring back further reports to this committee.
Okay, thank you, Aileen. So I've got 3 indicated speakers currently. So first is Councillor Hart. Ryan?
Thanks, Aileen, for the report. I think it's testament to the councillors in here and that we pursued, the 2 marathons because they were under threat at one stage. They were going to alternate. So I think it's proven now that, the numbers have increased in Strabane by the Strabane Lifford Half Marathon by 24% with 1,500 registrations and the biggest entry ever in the Derry Waterside Marathon. So, there is people out there that want to do it, and it's great to see it, growing year on year. I think we should probably look at, well, it's welcome that we're getting the sponsorship for the Waterside Marathon, but I think we could do more in attracting sponsorship and reducing, the overall cost to ratepayers. And also I see in the report some of the running clubs are using volunteers to help out on the day. There's an 83,000 cost in safety and production costs, so maybe there's room for a reduction in this if we can get more volunteers involved, and we could possibly get to a stage that there's no cost to the ratepayers, that the 2 events will fund themselves. But I think it's excellent. The new format in Strabane within the town centre, it was great for spectators because we could see, the race starting and then coming back at different stages. So that was a welcome development, but just want to give my thanks to all involved in the council officers and the very successful 2 events. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hart. Are you second or proposing that? Yeah. So next indicated speaker is Alderman Middleton. Julie.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. Aileen, thank you also for the report. On behalf of the DUP, we commend all the team involved and the success associated with both of the half marathons. We would also like to see movement in the next number of years to having no rates involved in paying for the events, but I acknowledge that that's not just a wee easy solution. That's not going to be as easy as it sounds in sentence form, but that's definitely something we'd love to see progress towards in the future. I did have some contact regarding road closures in Strabane. I'm glad to hear the course is being looked at, but I see the overall benefits. I've also heard much positive feedback from many actually about both of the events, and it's just been really lovely to hear. It's great as a council to have events that promote good physical health and mental health. The benefits of running and exercising are very well documented. So on behalf of the DUP, we're happy to support. I'm happy to second. Well done to all involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And the final indicated speaker is Councillor Mooney. Sean.
Thank you, Chair. I can't say much given the previous 2 speakers, but just to commend officers, because obviously it was mentioned that given the settlement in 23, how the race stood then, both races are flourishing, and the entries are definitely increasing, and obviously it would be great at some stage if these both races could become self-sustainable in the future. Maybe not at the minute, but maybe that would be the key. I mean, I've ran Derry Half Marathon on several occasions and marshalled as well, and obviously I think a lot of the club runners out of the clubs in Derry are probably doing the half marathon, so it may be a big ask to try and get more people to marshal. But given where we're going and given where we were 2 years ago, this is a great success story, and well done to the officers. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sean. And my view, I don't have a particular opinion on the Strabane Lifford one, because I haven't seen it. But in terms of Waterside one, I've been there, not partaken, but in a sort of observer capacity the last 2 years. And what strikes me is, the finish there is so special and so unique, where you come across the Peace Bridge and what used to be a military base. So it has a really, really special finish, and I'd say it's unique. So it's great to see those events going from strength to strength. It's great to see so much community backing for them. So it's a real success story. So item So that is supported unanimously, proposed by Councillor Hart, seconded by Alderman Middleton. So item number 8 is the Derry and Strabane Local Economic Partnership update, and we have Kevin to take us through that item. Kevin?
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to provide you with an update on the progress in relation to the Derry City and Strabane Local Economic Partnership, seek endorsement on the emerging draft action plan for submission to DFE for approval, and also to seek approval for officers to sign the MOU on the Regional Balance Fund between the DFE, Invest NI and Derry City and Strabane District Council. Members will be aware over previous reports that the DFE Minister announced his economic vision at the time in October 2024. This included a sub-regional economic plan. Central to that sub-regional economic plan was around tackling productivity, providing more good jobs, focusing on regional balance and decarbonisation. As part of that policy and the delivery of that policy, and focusing on tackling regional imbalance across a range of economic indicators, the Regional Balance Fund was developed, and specifically in Derry City and Strabane District Council, our council obviously ranks as one of the most underperforming council areas across the 11 councils, specifically in the areas around employee wages, economic inactivity, gross domestic household income and productivity. So in order to contribute to tackling this, the sub-regional fund was announced, a 45 million fund across the 11 councils with an allocation of 5.15 million. And as members will be aware, the council formally established its local economic partnership in January 2025, so at the beginning of this year. That local economic partnership has representation across industry, academia, local government, the community, voluntary sector, arm's length bodies, and other organisations listed in item 2.6. So following its establishment, the officers have been working with the partnership members with support from Invest NI and DFE on the development of a draft action plan. In previous reports, we have highlighted the guidance that has been issued from DFE around the type of interventions that could be supported through this fund, and they're listed in 2.7. I won't go through them all now. So the 3 key areas that the DCSDC Local Economic Partnership have focused on are strategic place marketing, enterprise support and growth, and clustering and collaboration. This report's going to focus on the enterprise support and growth and the clustering and collaboration side of that. So members will see within the appendices, there's a number, 8 or 9 key sort of thematic interventions have been developed, and they're broken down obviously in Appendix 1 themselves. I won't go through them all, but I will draw out a couple of ones. I mean, in terms of what the partnership board were very keen to see delivered. I suppose the grants was probably one within which the partners were quite focused on. We as a council area perform really well in terms of the Digital Transformation Flexible Fund, the DERA micro grants, the Go Succeed grants. Our team are quite often oversubscribed in those areas. So a part of the focus on this would be to see where there are gaps in this type of grant aid. So there's the potential there to develop a program up to 25 for up to 25k for businesses and social economy actually to be able to access really around focusing on enhancing competitiveness and productivity in line with the Minister's goals. Then the other side of that is around the potential for, in particular, probably the social economy sector to try to tap into FTC capital funding. So this would allow for 20% match up to 150k of grant aid. That programme relies on the DFE maybe becoming a sponsor department, and we're working across that. So those are 2 of the areas. The other sort of key themes within that plan is around linking it to the McGee Task Force, university expansion, and the City Deal investments. So you'll see within it, you have the Ignite Student Enterprise, the Leadership to Grow programme, which are really focused around linking in with Ulster University, Northwest Regional College, in terms of raising the game in terms of entrepreneurial activity coming out of those institutions, which obviously boosts the economy. From a community wealth building perspective, we worked with representatives on the board from the Community Wealth Building Partnership on a range of interventions. Now we are aware that they have received funding up to 31st of March 2026. So we're working with the Community Wealth Building Partnership there to identify specific areas of intervention. So I think that the targets that they're looking at are around supporting 50 social enterprises through leadership training and incubation. So really worthwhile interventions and pretty unique to us as a council area. In terms of just some of the high level figures, and these will change, as will the draft plan. It's iterative at this stage. So we're hoping to be able to support 200 plus enterprises, student, micro and SME, leveraging in importantly. So the 5.15 million, about 4.6 of that is program delivery. So we're hoping to lever in an additional 3.7 million in investment through the fund itself. So not quite doubling, but nearly doubling the investment that's been made from the department themselves. As I said there, about $250,000 in growth grants and $750,000 in capital grants awarded through the period of the programme. Now, the timescale is, as always, challenging. We basically have 2 years once we get letter of offer, procurement, specific plans up and running. But we're very we're ambitious, put it like that, and hopeful that we can deliver. Now, some other programs we will develop out. One specifically around AI and AI opportunity for SMEs. We are all aware of AI now, I'm sure at this stage, using it a lot in our daily lives. Very important that our SMEs, micros, all our sectoral companies, not necessarily tech companies, but across all sectors, have the ability to use AI to improve efficiency, to stay ahead of the game, and ultimately boost productivity across the region. So in terms of the finances, it is anticipated that DFE will issue a letter of offer subject to member approval at the end of November. That allows us then to start really working towards putting all of the meat. There's a lot of detail in the appendix, but further detail around targets, around spending plans, around the mix between capital and revenue. At this stage, it's about 20% capital, 80% revenue or programme delivery. When you look at the splits, so the recommendation is. The recommendation is that members note the contents of the report and endorse the submission of the draft action plan to DFE for approval and approve the signing of the MOU between Council, DFE and InvestNI. And just before I finish, just if you don't mind, Chair, just because of the way the press release is being issued, we just got word last week that we were successful in our Smart Towns and Villages Network application, which is a 4.8 million euro project focusing on rural digital hubs, the one that this committee will be well aware of. We've been working on for the last 3 years. We're really, really pleased with that. SUPB were at pains to, they were issuing the press release. So we'll bring a full paper to this committee on the details of what's been funded, the specifics around that. But that added to the 5.15, potentially, nearly 10 million, in sterling, 9 million of funding from an economic development perspective is a really good place to be.
Thank you for that update, Kevin. So at present, I had one indicated speaker. I now have 2. So the first indicated speaker is Councillor Hutton. Aisling.
Thanks very much, Chair. And Kevin, thanks very much for that report. It was very comprehensive and everything laid out gives us a really good understanding of what the LEPs are about. And I suppose they play a really vital role in identifying the main barriers that is sort of prohibiting our economic development here, and it also lets us identify priority interventions. So thank you so much for laying that all out and giving us a good understanding of it. I'm happy to propose the report. And I suppose I'm glad to see the community wealth building element within that as well, as it's a really big conversation at the minute, community wealth building, and we were so proud to host the Community Wealth Building Conference last month, or the month before maybe, up at the Playhouse. So happy to propose and to thank the groups as well that are coming together in order to create these key priorities for us all. There's a wide range of people there, and it's good to see that everybody has their voice heard, and there's all those different opinions when it comes to the LEPs and the draft action plan. So thank you, Kevin, and I'm happy to propose it.
Thank you, Aisling. Next indicated speaker is Alderman Middleton. Julie?
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in, and thank you, Kevin, for your report and also for the detail that you've provided us today. It helps us garner a better understanding, and I don't have any questions. Something that I wanted to ask you actually mentioned, so appreciate that. On behalf of the DUP, we absolutely welcome the action plan and all the details of the report, and we really are looking forward to further details upon receipt of the letter of offer. We as a party are actively engaged and indeed passionate about improving our economic growth and prosperity for all. And just finally, as a rural councillor for the Faughan, I am delighted to hear the good news about the rural digital hubs, a great step forward for our rural dwellers and our rural areas district-wide. So thank you very much, and also happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next indicated speaker is Councillor Mooney. Sean?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Kevin. It was a detailed paper, but I think everything's been said. I'm fully supportive of the asks and all the work that's gone into this project, and also the information you just received, you just conveyed there now. That's welcome news as well. But apart from that, thank you, Kevin, and thanks for all the work and continued success in this element. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sean. And the final indicated speaker is Alderman Hussey. Derek?
Thank you, Chair. I'm having connectivity difficulties here. Hopefully it'll hold out for this. Thanks, tremendous effort there, Kevin. And I'm particularly interested in 3.5, the macro outputs, I suppose we could describe them as. And I had this question framed before you made your final announcement about the towns and villages programming, and I think you can understand where I'm coming from. This is a regional balance fund, and I was wondering about the district balance within our allocation of the regional balance. As I said, I'm looking at 3.5 as a micro outputs and wondering can that be broken down into DEA outputs, or are we working at a micro level at the moment? And given the next announcement on towns and villages, is there the potential then that the two are going to operate side by side, and that one will be more shall we say urban orientated, the other will be more rural orientated going forward? Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks, Alderman Hussey, for the queries on that. I suppose in terms of whenever the team, the partnership, the agency sat down to develop the two proposals, they weren't developed in isolation. So the Smart Towns and Villages Network obviously is going to provide capital investment into new digital hub facilities, working with the community and voluntary sector to be able to provide digital support to communities, to businesses and that type of thing, to try to sustain businesses in rural areas. The LEP will be able to provide grant aid support for those businesses to invest in their digital capacity, or basically in their knowledge capacity. It will also then provide, mentoring support, access to graduate placements, access to people, obviously, and most importantly, it will, provide that kind of leadership training and that type of thing. So they do work hand in glove. In terms of the actual specifics around the targets, they're very high level at this stage. Each of those interventions, I think there are maybe 8 or 9 on this report. There's probably 10 in total when we develop them all out and split them up. The majority of those will be tendered out, contracted. Some will be delivered by agencies and that type of thing. So then they'll get down into the nitty gritty around that. And as you know, I'm sure the team across council are very, very strong in terms of their outreach whenever they're sort of trying to, sell programs, basically. I think an example of that's the DERA microgrants. I mean, the demand for those grants, they're not necessarily massive money, but is in part because the money is available, but also because of the animation and the work that the team does and across all of those areas. And we'll be doing the same in terms of the LEP when we get our resources in place, and obviously the Smart Towns and Villages when we get that up and running. So they'll be working together, and I think that they'll complement each other perfectly.
Is that okay, Derek? I assume it is. My view on this is that we have been rightly jumping up and down about regional balance for years and years and years. So I think this is positive. I think it's a positive step from Stormont that this money is being made available to local councils, and Derry and Strabane have got the highest amount of all the councils across the north. I think it's good that we have a team of willing experts across the city and district who have contributed their time to this. I think it's good that we have a robust plan that's going to result, hopefully, in more jobs and better jobs. But I've got 2 questions. One is, this as a draft action plan. So we need approval from DFE before we can implement it, I would imagine. So we're expecting a letter of offer. When do we expect approval from DFE, or have we had any soundings from DFE in terms of, is this likely to need amended? And the second question is about the £402,000 for staffing, etc. Do we think that's sufficient? Because I look at the MOU, DFE has responsibilities, and VSNI has responsibilities. We have 23 different things that we need the action. So in terms of the available money available for staff and support, etc., do we think that's sufficient for delivery? Thank you.
In terms of the resources, so we've that's based on the costing and what we believe it will take to deliver the program over the period of time. So I think that we're fine from that perspective. I mean, in terms of the time, that's always a challenge, with I think anybody that works in funding environments and that type of thing, you understand the pressure that you have in terms of procurement and that type of thing. But we hope that we have a sufficient capacity to be able to deliver within the timescales. In terms of DFE, so we've been working, DFE are advisors on the partnership. And obviously the partnership have been working on iterations of this. We brought our first iteration to the partnership back in May, June, and then in August, we actually asked DFE to take a view on, was this eligible? Is it not eligible? Are we on the right path? And, apart from a few minor amends, just in specifics around making sure that there's no duplication, they're very, very positive. So the next steps now is they're going to issue a high-level letter of offer, which will allow us flexibility within that letter of offer to scale up or scale down in terms of the thematic areas. Other areas may arise, like the AI thing, obviously, wasn't necessarily the focus in May, but it became the focus in August. So we're hoping the letter of offer will be imminent, beginning of December, and that way we can then really truly hit the ground running. What we hope to be able to do is have a couple of the grant aid programs up and running before the end of the financial year. I think that's possible, and some of the entrepreneurial activation stuff too. So, resourcing, we're confident that it's more than that, it's enough, and yeah, we're just working through the detail now with DFE around the letter of offer.
That's perfect. Kevin, thank you. So that's unanimously supported, proposed by Councillor Hutton, seconded by Alderman Middleton. And the next item is item 9, which is the tourism update, specifically the Shared Island Wild Atlantic Way Causeway Coastal Route Tourism Brand Collaboration Project. And we've got 18 to take us through that tongue twister.
So, thank you, Chair. This, as the Chair has very eloquently said, is an update on the Shared Island Wild Atlantic Way Causeway Coastal Route Tourism Brand Collaboration Project, and to seek your endorsement of the new route strategy and note Council's involvement and project benefits, and also to accept a letter of offer to develop an enhanced Dairy Girls experience by October 2026. Members, you'll be aware from reports to this committee that we have been working for a number of years to position the northwest and the city in particular as the walled city where the Wild Atlantic Way meets the Causeway Coastal Route. There's been a number of initiatives to support this, including a series of collaborative projects funded through the Northwest Development Fund in partnership with Donegal County Council. In 2024, 7.6 million in shared island funding was announced to support collaboration and marketing initiatives, fostering greater brand alignment between the Causeway Coastal Route and Wild Atlantic Way. The project was developed and is being implemented by Tourism Northern Ireland, Tourism Ireland and Fáilte Ireland. Officers from this council sit on a project stakeholder group which comprise representatives from other councils along both routes, and that ensures regular updates on the progress and provides opportunities for input. The key element of the overall project include the delivery of a marketing campaign targeting Great Britain, a capital grant scheme providing up to 250,000 to support public and private sector enhancements to visitor experiences, and the development of a Causeway Coastal Route infrastructure strategy to transform the route from a linear driving experience into a landscape-based destination that encourages deeper exploration aligned with the Wild Atlantic Way visitor experience. The strategy in relation to the route is now complete and is outlined in the appendix to this report. Officers have contributed to this through a series of workshops. And indeed, members, you'll be aware that there was a series of public and industry engagement sessions, including one for members of this committee to provide feedback. The list of what the strategy includes is set out in the report, but includes an audit of existing signage and a driving infrastructure plan and visitor-focused improvements along the route. Members should be aware that the walled city is not currently included within the existing Causeway Coastal Route, but the new strategy would formally incorporate the city as part of the route, positioning it as the key meeting point between the Wild Atlantic Way and Causeway Coastal Route. The strategy identifies the walled city as a signature project, which are defined as an unmissable world-class experience or iconic landmark on the route, and Culmore Point as a discovery point, which encouraging visitors to pause and appreciate the surrounding landscape. All identified points will require future physical investment and intervention, and both local sites are listed in the emerging Phase 1 priorities. And just to note that the visualisations in the strategy are illustrative concepts rather than the proposed image designs. The implementation strategy will be led by Tourism Northern Ireland, with councils in a collaborative role. And members, the second part of the Shared Island projects mentioned in the report there is the capital grant scheme. So you will be aware that officers have developed an exciting concept for Phase 2 of the Dairy Girls experience, which has been successful in securing 250,000 through the capital grant scheme as part of this Shared Island project. So the Dairy Girls experience is proposed, so this will be a new phase of the Dairy Girls experience, and it's proposed it will continue to operate at the Tower Museum, which, as you know, the Spanish Armada exhibition closed in April this year, and the Story of Dairy exhibition will close to the public at the end of February 2026 to enable conservation work to take place to migrate the collection to the new DNA Museum. There will be a dedicated communications and marketing campaign which will be launched in the new year to inform citizens and stakeholders of the Story of Dairy exhibition closure. The campaign will highlight the Tower Museum's legacy and achievements and will include free admission in January and February of 2026 to engage with schools, colleges and community groups who have supported the museum over the past 33 years. Just to note from a financial perspective, Tourism Northern Ireland has secured the funding to support the overall project. Match funding is required for the capital grant scheme, which has been allocated within departmental budgets. There's also a note there, members, in relation to the wider tourism team and to support this project as well, following additional investment from rates in this financial year. Members, you'll be aware that you approved the funding for a new tourism project officer, specifically to focus on screen and food tourism. And just to note that that officer, a recruitment process has been undertaken, and that officer has started literally in the last few days. So it's a very hopefully be a very successful appointment, and will support the development of the new phase, this new phase of the Dairy Girls project, as well as other food and screen tourism initiatives. So members, you're asked to note the content of the report and endorse the Causeway Coastal Route infrastructure, note Council's ongoing involvement and the project benefits, and you're asked to formally accept the letter of offer for the delivery of the enhanced Dairy Girls experience and to grant pre-approval for the appointment of contractors to implement the project in line with Council's procurement policies and procedures. So happy to take any questions or comments, members.
Thank you, Aideen. So at present, we have two indicated speakers. The first is Councillor Neelis. Grace.
August Aideen, for the report. First of all, I'd just like to propose note the contents of the report and propose that we accept the letter of offer for the delivery of the Dairy Girls experience. And I would like to congratulate the appointment of the new tourism officer within council. Really looking forward to meeting them and working with them in the future. It made me laugh, the acronym WCWWCCR. It's not one of those ones that really rolls off the tongue, is it? But like, that's what we are. If we are the connecting point between the two routes, then, you know, just own it. Delighted that this is happening. Myself, along with Councillor Farrell, attended the workshop, the consultation workshop. The one thing that I was very keen on was the inclusion of Irish language within the signage, but I'm not sure where the signage process is, or the wording of the signage going forward, just considering it is connecting along with the signage from Fulch Ireland. Delighted to hear that the Wall City is going to be one of the signature points, but the signature point for here, and that Colmore Point is the discovery point. I know that it's only a mock-up image of what it might look like, but at that consultation, it was really exciting to see the concepts of how these discovery points are going to look. And also delighted to see that they're both emerging as part of phase 1 priorities, because that was one of the sort of worries I had, where we were going to fall within the priority list. The phase 2 of the Dairy Girls experience, yep, again, you know, you can't lose with that one. It's everybody comes here to see the Dairy Girls mural and to see the exhibition in the museum. So delighted to hear that you've got the grant for that. So congratulations on being successful in that application. And then the other thing, yep, just the free admission in January, February to the Tower Museum. That'll be brilliant for the schools, for all the community organisations, and just, yep, looking forward to seeing the communication go out for that, so we can all share it and get involved. So I think that's it. I don't think there was anything else to propose there, was there? Or are we? Yep.
Thank you, Grace. Next indicated speaker is Councillor McDade. Catherine.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Aideen, for the report. I'm happy to second the recommendations. I think it's great to have that kind of close joined up working with other agencies, and like Grace said, we are that kind of centre point, so we should take advantage of it. There are people that visit the Giant's Causeway, for example. You know, the people come over and they don't even come as far as Derry, so it's good to see that the walls and even the Colmore discovery point they're going to be highlighted as strategic kind of tourist attractions, so people do know about it, because they will come on up the road then anyway, and that'll feed into our already like massively growing tourism industry here in the city and district. And from the Dairy Girls perspective too, as Grace said, people come here to see the mural, full stop, and now, you know, to expand that and extend the museum experience will be amazing. So I'm happy to support that as well. But just thank you for the report, and from an SDLP perspective, we're happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Next indicated speakers, Alderman Hussey. Derek.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. And like others, I welcome this inclusion because there was a concern that the link point was really Foyle Bridge and the city was sort of being when Wild Atlantic Way through to the Causeway experience. And it's absolutely brilliant that this is happening and that the city is being recognised as a connection point between Wild Atlantic Way and the Causeway, the overall Causeway route going right round to Belfast, basically, in that overall experience. There are other link points, and I wonder where they sit in the overall visioning. I mean, there was talk of, with regard to the Appalachian Way, with regard to the Ulster Way, do they feature at all link point overall Wild Atlantic Way through to the Causeway with the linkage via the city? But there are points, are they being utilised within this overall programme as well? Thank you, Chair.
That's a very good question, Derek. I'm going to defer to Aideen on that.
I think they'll be incorporated in spirit, Alderman Hussey. No, I suppose they're not specifically, this is specifically Wild Atlantic Way, Causeway Coast Route. Obviously, where other product overlaps that, it will be, we can assume Tourism Northern Ireland and Fáilte Ireland will include it in that promotion. So, but happy to feedback those comments to the lead agencies on this project.
Are you content, Derek?
Sorry, Chair, my connection today, I don't know what's wrong, is absolutely rubbish. And I missed the point, but I think what I was being told, yes, they're in where they're, and I noted they're there in spirit, but hopefully they are something that can be enhanced as we take the overall project forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Derek. And the final indicated speaker is Alderman Cook, Chelsea.
Thanks, Chair, for letting me in, and thanks to Aideen for the very detailed report. And on behalf of the DUP, we fully endorse the report. It's a very positive report, and we have no problems at all accepting the letter of offer for the delivery of the enhanced Dairy Girls experience. As I say, it's very, very positive, and there's lots to look forward to for the city and district. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chelsea. Grace had mentioned the workshop that we had attended with Aideen and Jennifer O'Donnell and Tourism A&I and some marketing company from the Republic. Thought it was really useful. It's great now that we have this strategy. At that stage, there was talk that Derry was going to be a signature point, so it's great to have it confirmed now. I think the point I had made there was what we don't want to see is people who travel along the Wild Atlantic Way and then just go straight to the Causeway Coast and just bypass the city completely. They just go across the Foyle Bridge and don't come on to see what the city has to offer. But in terms of the signature point, what does that actually mean? So I see it's on a map. I see it's a sort of must-see location, but what does it mean in practical terms regarding marketing or infrastructure? What changes are we going to see? And I see this, there's a financial ask at some stage in the future. Have we any idea practically how this is going to change this city in general? Are we going to notice any different signage? Is there going to be more promotion on the TV? Have we any indication of that?
I suppose a lot of that detail is still to be worked out, but that would be the assumption that it would be very similar to how the Wild Atlantic Way is rolled out, in that there is additional sign in their signature points. So you would expect some item of physical infrastructure to indicate that it's a discovery point. There's still a bit of work being done to determine what that looks like, and there's still, I understand that Tourism Northern Ireland are working on a next phase of this to fund some of the infrastructure, because obviously this it's not fully funded. So that will be sort of the next iteration. I think the efforts in this stage of the plan are to confirm the sites and to the overall principles of the route, but that will be the next phase to see what it physically looks like. And obviously there's, you would assume that there would be planning implications and other sorts of things. So those and update reports will come back to this council. But a big part of what they're working at doing is looking at the visitor infrastructure. So making sure that wherever these signs go, that the visitors, can park and they're accessible and all that sort of stuff. So there's quite a bit of work to be done to develop those points.
Thanks for that update, Aileen. So we've got one more item open for decision, and that's item 10, which is the Sperrins Partnership Project update. And again, with Aileen to take us through that item.
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. So members, this is an update on the Sperrins Partnership Project. Some of this I will not go through in detail, but there's a few key points I'd like to highlight and that are here for decision in relation to this update. You'll be aware, members, that the Sperrins Partnership is a collaboration between 4 councils within the Sperrins area, ourselves, Causeway Coast and Glens, Fermanagh Omagh District Council and Mid-Ulster. The project started back in 2018, and the 4 councils have agreed equal financial contribution towards the project until 2027. The main piece of work that the partnership have been doing over the last year or two is around the development of the AOMB management plan for the Sperrins. So the first plan ever in the existence of the AOMB area, and funding was secured from the Deer Environment Fund strategic strand for 5 years to enable the partnership to develop the plan. Consultation for the plan has now complete. Consultation exercise was delivered by an external consultant, took place between February and August of 2024. The results of the consultation were made available to members in October 24, and they were presented via a public event in November 24. The report, there's a link to the report in this report. The next important phase in the project was to convene 2 action plan working groups, and expressions of interest from a broad range of sectors and groups were gathered from November 24 to February of this year. The group included a wide range of stakeholders, including council officers from various departments. External support was secured to assist the Sperrins Partnership team with the design and delivery of these working groups. And a number of meetings were held in person and online up until October of this year, which concluded almost 18 months of consultation to date, with 15 in-person events held right across the AONB area. It's been noted as one of the biggest ever carried out by a landscape management body, and the actions identified have gone through rigorous process to get this to the draft stage. The draft action plan was shared with the department at the end of October, and as the project funder, DERA are the body responsible for signing off on the AOMB management plans, and their internal review process could take up to 3 months to complete. But once the plan has been approved by the department, a launch event is expected to take place in spring of 2026 with a date to be confirmed. The overall management plan is progressing on time and within budget, and members will be kept up to date on all activities. And again, a copy of the 5-year plan is outlined in the appendix. Once it has been approved, it will be shared with committee in advance of a formal launch event, which, as I say, is planned for spring 2026. So there's a number of other that's really the key body of work, as I say, has been the AONB plan. It should be noted the AONB project officer will commence maternity leave, and members, we are being asked to make provision for an additional sum of £3,000. So it is one of the decisions in the process of recruiting cover for that, but it will involve additional costs, which we can cover within our existing budgets, but we will need to make some provision for. The governance and management structures, the Partnership Project Management Group are going to consider the government management structures that will be required to deliver the forthcoming AONB management plan. So it's to note that there's a piece of work being developed to look at what those proposals will be between the 4 councils, and the proposals will be brought to a future meeting of this committee for consideration and approval. Members, you'll note the Sperrins Walking Festival is being done in collaboration with the Sperrins councils. It's been delivered in this council by the Festival and Events team. There's currently a consultation going on with local communities, and members, as soon as the details are available, they'll be shared with you. The team have also secured funding from the Department for Communities Historic Environment Division for a Sperrins Heritage Conference. And the letter of offer is to the value of £10,000. It's outlined in an appendix to this report. So you're asked to accept this letter of offer as part of this report. The aim of the conference will be to connect a wide range of key stakeholders with their heritage and each other. And planning is underway, and it's hoped to take place in the new year. And again, members should be kept updated with details of that. There's details also of the Landscapes NI conference outlined in the report. There's also an update there. Members should be aware of the Sperrins outdoor activity and the work we're doing with the outdoor partnership. So I'm not going to go through the update on that report. That's really just for your information. You'll note the contribution set out in the report, and the additional ask, as I say, of £3,000 to cover maternity costs. So members, the purpose of this report really is to ask you to note the content of the AONB 5-year action plan and the next steps with regard to the AONB delivery, and to note the proposed review exercise of the Sperrins Partnership Governance and Management Paper, to note the 4 partner council funding contributions as set out to March 27, and to approve that this council makes the additional financial provision towards maternity costs for the AONB project officer to £3,000, and to accept the letter of offer for the Heritage Conference from HED. And I'm happy to take any questions or comments. But that is, I suppose that's quite a long summary, but there's an incredible amount of good work that's going on with the Sperrins Partnership Project with our partner council. So it's good to bring a comprehensive summary of that work to you all.
So thank you for that update, Aideen. At present, we have 1 indicated speaker, so I'm going to need a seconder. So at present, it's Councillor O'Farrell. Antin.
Guramila Mayagara, hi Hurley, and Aileen, Guramila Mila Mayagara Ashan. Thank you very much for that. It is a comprehensive report. And first of all, I would like to wish the project manager the very best in the new year when they go off and leave. But I'd like to congratulate everybody involved in this project. Again, most what we're hearing today is all positive stuff, and this Sperrins thing for us, the 4 councils have bought into it. There's loads of other partnerships involved as well, cycling clubs, walking clubs, anybody interested in outdoor life. But for ourselves locally here too, there's a huge heritage to do with the Sperrins as well, especially from an Irish language perspective as well, because Rishki was one of the last Irish speaking areas in the Sperrins, and Padarjohahi was one of the last of the old Shanachie, the old Irish storytellers. But no, I have to say everything I've read in this report is positive, and I know there's external funding got as well. So I'd just like to endorse it, and Guramila Mayagara Aideen. Thank you very much again, Aideen.
Thank you, Antin. Does anybody else wish to speak? Thank you, Sean. So that's unanimously supported, proposed by Councillor O'Farrell, seconded by Councillor Mooney. So that's open for decision completed. We've got 4 items and open for information. Does anybody wish to raise anything whatsoever on there? Councillor or Alderman Middleton, Item 11.
Thanks, Chair,
Julie.
for letting me in. And thank you to the officers for the report on Christmas. Christmas is a favourite time of the year for myself and my family, so very excited to see it involved in our meeting today. I'm happy to welcome all the details on behalf of the DEP as well. I do want to note, and I was hoping to speak on this anyway, that I attended the craft fair with my family just on the weekend past there, and it really was phenomenal. The organisation was excellent. There was a real buzz about the place. There was a really good selection of vendors. The food fair downstairs as well was very, very good. But also just to commend and put on record that our Guildhall staff are fantastic. I seen them interacting with people the minute they walked in the door, and they were filled with of energy and enthusiasm. And it was just really, really lovely to see. And welcome all the events that are planned thus far. Obviously, I will always say hopefully we can start planning a wee bit more for the rural, but I do know that the Christmas light switch-ons are on the rollout at the minute because I've been helping some of the organisations with dates and timings. But no, thank you so much to all the team, and looking forward to more of the Christmas events to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Alderman Hussey, I see your hand is up. Is that for one of these items, or is it a previous?
Yeah, it's for the Christmas item.
Right.
Chair. Thank you,
Take
Chair.
it away.
Thank you, and welcome. The program that's there. It's the council, but as Alderman Middleton has referred to there are many events supported. And normally at some stage we would have an indication or a list of all those various switch-ons that are taking place throughout the council area. When is it envisaged that list will become available?
I probably should have referenced it. I mean, I think it might be referenced in the report, but yeah, we do gather up those, and those are on the if they're not already, they will be on our social and on our website. So, and if anybody does have an event that they want included in the Christmas programme, and we welcome it. Obviously, the focus of the report just really, I suppose, is to note those events that are directly delivered by council or where there's direct involvement. But yeah, absolutely, Alderman Hussey, we are aware, and indeed we do gather up the detail on the wider events throughout the city and district. So those, if they're not already, should be on our social channels and on our Christmas related promotional online digital things. And as I say, if anyone has an event that isn't included there and wants it included, we welcome that and would look forward to getting the details on that.
You okay with that, Derek? And Councillor Hargan, Sean?
Thank you, Chair. And we have a lot of really excellent Christmas events planned by Council. I'm sure it'll bring a lot of joy this year. I did want to mention that I'd seen, and I'm sure other people have seen, that the Cathedral Quarter have decided to cancel their Christmas market, which I think is very, very disappointing because it's something that they've been working on, and I know we've given some support in terms of publicity. And I put this down to absolute negligence on the part of the owners. They have shut down a street. They've shut down businesses as a result of this negligence. And now we have the cancellation of a Christmas market that has been there for many years. And I'm just a bit astonished that there's so little discussion about this. And I wonder why that is in terms of the responsibilities of those particular owners, because we see lots of condemnation about other things that people do that have less dire consequences. And there is so little discussion, so little condemnation, so little coverage about how this actually happened and who's responsible. And I think that speaks volumes about the dynamics of stature and wealth in our city. So we had agreed that we would have a task force meeting to discuss, I would imagine, what's happening in Pump Street and issues beyond that. So I'm just wondering if there is a date set for the task force meeting where we can look at other buildings around the city centre in particular, but beyond that, that have been neglected by their owners.
I share your frustrations about the cancellation of the Cathedral Quarter Christmas Market. In terms of the task force, I don't think it's an organ of this particular committee. I think it may have been raised through governance and strategic planning, so I'm not fully across the detail, but would any officers wish to comment?
Pardon, say, Chair, I'm happy to go and find out where the status of that and where if there a meeting is being arranged, and I'll check with John when I get back to the office.
Is that okay, Sean? Yep. So I think that's everybody done for open for information. Everybody content? Right, so if we can just move on to, I need a proposer and seconder for confidential. So proposed by Councillor Mooney, seconded by Councillor Hutton. And then if we can just move on to confidential and just let us know, Mark, when we're ready to speak.